Okay, we're already turned on here. Can everyone hear me? Yes. Good morning. Thank you for having me here today. I'm super excited to be here. I'm going to get out of the light, though. So I'm Jon Silverman. I handle everything regarding mobile. Fantastic that Ben just talked a lot about mobile, right? But before I begin, I want to kind of differentiate. What Ben spoke about was largely web-based, right? Web-based search, web-based display, using radial fences on Google Maps, that type of stuff. What I'm going to talk to you about today is strictly about mobile display, in-app, all right? Raise your hand if you have not used an app today. Thank you. 0 people raise their hand. That's awesome. And we already decided that nobody here has a smartphone, so nobody here has a flip phone, so we're good. We're all staying. That's fantastic. So what I want to kind of plant the seed on is to say that everything I'm going to talk to you about, and Ben really laid it out for me nicely at the end of his presentation, everything I'm going to talk to you about is about location. Location-based mobile advertising is something that's picking up a lot of steam in the marketplace. The ability to reach people in and around locations where you want to influence their next decision is pretty much what we're going to be talking about today. All right, so to start, why does location matter? Why is it important? Why is it contextually a factor in what we do? Then we're going to talk about understanding audiences based on location and some targeting opportunities and how we measure everything. All right? So first and foremost, the biggest screen I've ever presented on with this slide, so it kind of just scared me a little bit. That's why I shifted a little bit here. But this is a really powerful slide, all right? Think about anyone who has children. Raise your hands. I know that Ben did this already, but everyone, moms, dads, everyone. Just take a look on the left-hand side. If your children aren't that old yet, they will be, and this will be them facing you. They will not look you in the eye. PBS said 6 months ago, if your children react better to a text message to come downstairs, to do their homework, to clean their room, use that method of communication. It is a new age, okay? I particularly like this one on the bottom right-hand corner here. Because when I happen to, if I happen to wake up in the middle of the night, it's not as if I'm going to roll over and kiss my fiance and make sure she's okay. No. I'm going to look at my phone, check Facebook status, 3 o'clock in the morning as if people are posting it, and then I'm going to do my business. She'll stay sleeping, right? It's also my alarm clock, like Ben said. I look at it first thing when I wake up in the morning, last thing when I go to sleep. But it's just important to look at all these facial expressions here and know that there's a phenomenon out there in the world called phubbing. Everyone here knows what it means to snub someone, right? I've been snubbed. I've been shortchanged. I'm not being paid attention to. Well, phubbing is the same exact thing, except if I'm looking directly at you, sir, and we're having a conversation, all of a sudden, I go to my phone and, sure, yeah. Oh yeah, that's very interesting, good. That's called phubbing. And this is exactly what these people are doing right here. But again, it's a new age. We can't necessarily judge them that hard for it. So why does mobile location matter? Well, location is the strongest indicator of intent. We firmly believe this. Where you've been, where you currently are, and where we can influence you to go next will paint a very clear picture of what type of consumer you are, more so than what type of content you're consuming. Think of it this way, right? I asked earlier if folks have used an app this morning. Our network is comprised of 100,000 apps, not mobile websites, but rather apps. And I consider myself to be a major sports enthusiast. But I only use the ESPN app or the TeamStream app or whatever other sports app I have for collectively 10 to 12 minutes a day. Maybe, if it's a big sports day. But does that mean that for the rest of the day, when I'm not using this app, I am not a sports enthusiast? It does not, right? So let's explore how we can reach these sorts of people. So first and foremost, if I see visitation behavior that takes me from home to the office, to the grocery store, head to the mall, back to the restaurant, maybe hit up a game and then back home, this doesn't mean much, just splattered up on a map for you. But when we see this happening 100 million times a day, across 100 million different people, this tells a very good story about what the path of this person's daily routine looks like. Daily routines are the biggest indicator of consumer behavior because where we go, what we do, dictates what type of consumer we are. Raise your hand if you've bought something on Amazon in the past week. All right. Anyone buy anything on Amazon in the past 2 days? Anyone buy anything on Amazon? Come on, you one-touchers. One-click purchasing today. This morning. Yes. Yes. All right. Cool. Just keep in mind, though, for everything you purchase on Amazon, and we'll get to this, you purchase 9 things, exactly 9 things in a brick and mortar location, guaranteed, okay? So visitation behavior, understanding where people go on about their day, helps us to really understand the consumer profile of the particular device. That said, mobile advertising is very not personal, right? It is illegal, it is against the law to encroach on personal identifiable information. So we don't know who personally this is, but we know that device number 12345 exhibited this type of visitation behavior. And that's okay, because we want to know where they're going, not necessarily who they are. So the former CEO and president of Walmart, very famous for saying that the biggest opportunity that Walmart has was to winning the intersection between physical and digital retail around the globe. What this means essentially is understanding how online advertising, whether it's desktop, whether it's social, whether it's video, whether it's mobile, whether it's search, whether it's native, whether it's a million and one other things, which obviously is the industry. Whether all these things are happening, the idea here is we want to understand how I can be effective online and then actually convert offline. Because Walmart, yes, they run a pretty thorough online business, but like I just said, 9 out of 10 of their purchases are happening in their location, sometimes more, depending on region. All right? This is a point that I just love to hammer home. Because when you think about mobile, when you think about this device that's literally taped in my back pocket right now, it's been vibrating nonstop. I'm going to remain professional, I'm not going to check it in the middle of my presentation, but it's driving me crazy. It's like a Pavlovian response at this point, right? So the bell is ringing, my mouth is salivating, and I can't reach into my back pocket until I'm done. All right, but I'm going to go slow. Anyway, 90% of commerce is happening offline. Our mobile devices are the only media types that we can carry with us throughout the entirety of our day, that we're using concurrently with other media types, right? Think about when you're watching television. My experience when I watch television is if something is of interest, whether it's content of the show itself, whether it's a commercial, the very first thing I do is check my phone. But years ago it was, I'm going to wait till the show's over and then I'll go onto the computer and check it out. Or if I'm having an argument with oh God, the internet. It ends all arguments immediately. Yeah, you think you're right about that? Let me just open up the Wikipedia app real quick. We'll just settle this right here, right now. Instead of going home and researching an Encyclopedia Britannica. Anyone own Encyclopedia Britannica anymore? Point proven. Okay, here we go. Some really important stats, right? Oh, let me finish my point. When we're sitting watching TV, the phone is the first device we go to, but I'm looking at my laptop closed, fully charged. It's been fully charged for months. But I'm not going there and opening up the laptop. I'm going to use my phone right next to me or my tablet right next to me. Okay? So these are some really great stats. This is from some new research. 82% of smartphone users consult their phones during in-store purchases. Ben already mentioned that. It's a fantastic point. Not only about showrooming, by the way. It's not necessarily about price comparison. Looking at reviews, seeing prices in the vicinity, right? Not necessarily online versus in-store. But consulting the phone for in-store purchases, that's a huge point. The fact that people are able to convert 20% higher when they have their phone with them, that is proof of pudding, right? The proof is in the pudding. When we have our phones in a retail outlet, we will convert 20% higher. Because 71% of in-store shoppers say that their device has become vital to the shopping experience. Just think of it this way. If you went a whole day without your phone, some of us would be fine. Some of us would not. Those of you who are not, I'm speaking directly to you right now as your anxiety is building, you would not be able to function going into a retail outlet without being able to consult what are other people saying about this. Hell, I can't even go into a restaurant without looking at Yelp and making sure they have 4 stars, right? It's kind of the way things work now. The phone is our remote control for our life. With a touch of a button, maybe not in Orlando because of the cab companies, but with a touch of a button, a car is coming to pick me up. Another touch of a button, food's being delivered to me. Another touch of a button, I've sent my fiance, $500 to go grocery shopping. Wow, that's a lot. Whatever the case may be, I can do it all on my phone now. If you think of it this way, 47% of those who bank only use a smartphone to conduct their banking. With the days of direct deposit, you don't need to go to deposit your checks anymore. When you need to transfer money, you could do it in the app. When you do get a check from whoever, grandma, you can take a photo of it now and it deposits it. So again, 47% of people who bank online only use their phone or their tablet. The research is amazing. Okay, so when we think about location, it is extremely important to know what types of locations are across the world, across the country. So when we think about indexing the physical world to build location audiences, what we're essentially doing is understanding, for example, right here, visitation at a sports stadium. What type of people are going in and out of a sports stadium? Equally as important, where else are they going? So we can start to build some audience profiles. Let's say that there was a gym right here. The people that enter this gym, where else do they go? What type of consumer is a gym goer? I would have no idea, look at me. But if I were to take a guess, I would say somebody who shops at Lululemon, Athleta, shops or eats at Whole Foods, probably does some sort of macrobiotic, paleo, vegan, whatever diet. It's all confusion to me, right? Not to say that I'm judging, you look better than me, but whatever. But essentially what we're trying to do is index the real world by location to say, okay, at a coffee shop, we see tons of people who have been to other coffee shops. Makes sense, coffee enthusiasts are pretty apparent the worldwide. Auto dealerships, very interesting. If we see a device, right, any of these pins could be representative of a device or a location, think of it that way, a device at a location. If we see a device pop in, and our algorithm does see this, hundreds of millions of devices at any given time. If we see a device pop into an auto dealership, and that device has not been in an auto dealership in the past 6 months, the likelihood of this person just taking a stroll through an auto dealership on a Saturday just for fun is probably pretty low, right? The fact that they have not been there every day over the past 3 months tells us that they're not an employee, great. The fact that they've been to no other auto dealership over the past 3 months helps us to understand that maybe we have an auto intender on our hands. We have somebody who's close to purchase, close to leasing, because we all know that you go to a dealership maybe once or twice before you finally end up making that purchase or taking that lease out. All right, make sense for everyone? So we index the real world. We've got 25 million geofences around businesses across the country, just collecting people's visitation behavior, right? So far in Orlando, I've been to the airport, I've been to the hotel, and I've been to this TV station. But later on today, I might go for lunch, I might go for a snack, I might go to Walgreens to get some supplies for the hotel room, whatever the case may be. All of a sudden, my profile, in Orlando at least, is one of a business traveler. So based on where I go, we can infer audience. All right, so again, biggest screen I've ever presented on. She just scared me. I haven't seen her this big ever. But we understand who a customer is by where they've been and where they are going in order to influence what they do next. So here we've got a middle-aged woman looking at some very interesting shoes here that cause chaos on my arches, it seems. But if we were to take a look at visitation, right? So I just talked about indexing the physical world. Now we're transitioning to actually looking at visitation behavior. A device, a phone, right? A phone, not a person, but a phone, has been to a gym, many retail stores, the nail salon once a week, and the college campus 5 days a week for the past 6 months. So the idea here is that we want to take this information and our algorithm predicts what the device's owner looks like. And guess what? She looks like this. Does that make sense, everyone? I'm seeing heads going up and down. Where people have been is the best indicator of intent. Where people are is the best indicator of current intent. So based on this and much, much more, we can make the determination that this woman is a college student who likes to take care of herself, shop, and is physically fit, or trying. Okay? She's doing a better job than me. Now, what if we took a different direction, right? What if we were to say we wanted to reach coffee lovers? We already kind of talked about this topic a little bit. But the idea, as Ben sort of teed up at the very end of his presentation, the idea would be to be able to target a coffee shop with 1 mile radius, 2, 3, 5. We can go as low as a 1 mile radius, reaching people right in and around the location. And that's what we're doing here. These pins are representative of users or groups of users within the 1 mile radius of the fence, and the coffee shop is this blue dot right here. So what we're doing here is trying to make people aware in the vicinity that there's a coffee shop, come on in. All right, pretty simple. Then we also have the opportunity to say, okay, if our client is mom and pop coffee shop A, and we've got a brand new Starbucks that popped in over here, that's a threat, that's a competitive threat. So why don't we send a geofence around, or set up a geofence around the client competitor location, Starbucks, and try and incentivize these groups of devices to maybe think about mom and pop coffee shop A the very next time that they want coffee. Later today, tomorrow morning, whatever the case may be. All right? We also have the opportunity to reach people in points of interest. So these these green and white pins are representative of places like a park, an office building, a college campus, essentially anywhere, not our client's location, not our client's competitor location, where people would have an interest in coffee. College campus makes a lot of sense. I remember the 3 a.m. all-nighters for the exam study. So the idea here is that we want to reach people in and around our client locations, in and around our client competitive locations, and also the other places where we think we might be able to reach coffee lovers. Now, I'll be very candid with you. This is a very easy example. When we think about auto intenders, we already spoke about how people only go into a dealership once or twice. So we have to look at other things. Have they been into a dealership the past 2 months? Have they clicked on ads? We also have insight into ad behavior. Have they clicked on auto ads? What holistic level of data or numbers of data points can we look at to say this person is a coffee intender, an auto intender, a Walmart shopper, that type of thing? All right? So to get even more specific, because this is a staircase of a presentation, right? We're going on up. If we wanted to reach all 3 of these mothers with a singular message, we very easily could, right? Hey moms, this store is X miles away, or this service is X miles away. Take advantage, click here. You could do that. Or we could get specific with each individual type of mom, right? So the young mom lives in a rural area, price-conscious shopper, likes the big box stores, and of course, because as a young mom, is visiting children's retail stores, right, Ben? All right, so think of these types of locations, not only where we can capture these types of users, but also drive them to these types of locations from wherever else we're reaching them. The working mom might be able to live with her partner, husband, or wife, whatever the case may be, in an urban area, frequents downtown, rec centers, more fitness-oriented, or can afford to have a fitness program, especially at a nice gym, can afford higher-end clothing, higher-end items. Think wine bar, go back to my Lululemon example, Whole Foods, good higher-end retail, and age-wise about 25 to 50-ish, maybe 45. Then we've got the retired mom, empty nester, right? Excited to have the kids out, finally. She lives in the suburbs also. Community centers or community areas, travel-related stores or leisure-related stores. You know, the yearly cruise, want to go buy a suitcase at Toomey. My grandmother goes to the bingo hall 6 p.m. on Wednesdays and Fridays. She's at the Bagel King at 6 o'clock in the morning with all her girlfriends, and is at the hair salon every Wednesday at 4 p.m. like clockwork. But for other retired moms or empty nesters, it might be a little bit different. So again, these are all the different types of sort of psychographic information, also demographic information that we can use to target, but we're not targeting these moms where they live, at the zip code. Because that we can do. Traditional digital targeting, we can target people at the zip code using traditional audience data, right? Third-party static audience data, think Nielsen, think Polk for auto, think Axiom for purchase data, stuff like that. And then we say, okay, out of 100 zip codes, these 65 have a 20% higher chance, at least, of reaching retired moms. That's going to be a whole heck of a lot of zip codes. Or we can try and reach the retired mom, or the working mom, or the young mom, where they actually go on about their day. Not zip code level, but location level. Okay? Now, targeting, from a targeting opportunity perspective, you have a limited option, but we want to keep it basic because the power of the platform really is, in its basic form, the most apparent. So, we already kind of went through this whole thing, but when you think about executing a mobile campaign and when you're going to approach your account representative here, it's good to think about this so that the conversation gets started in a proactive way. First and foremost, strategically define and locate our target audience. We just did that with the moms, right? If you wanted to do it with a different target, say you wanted to reach a male, young, low 30s, college educated, loves to do travel, business travels a lot, definite foodie, and sweats in front of big crowds. I don't know. If you wanted to reach somebody like that, you could definitely reach them in the locations where they're going to be. I don't know if there's anyone in the room that fits that description, but if there is someone that you want to reach, just think about where, first of all, who, and then where. So Ben spoke a ton about micro moments and unscripted moments, and we also say the same thing. Relevant moments is really about the time where I'm in the consumer mindset. And that consumer mindset can be as broad as I'm out and about spending money. period. Right? Think of it this way, a grocery shopping mom, a very coveted audience target. Grocery shopping mom goes to Publix, parks the car. From the moment she parks the car, while walking in, presumably looking at the device, right? 9 out of 10 times that's true, goes into Publix on her device, uses Epicurious or Food TV or a shopping list app, consults the app through the entirety of her shopping experience, checks out, gets back to the car. The relevant moment for that grocery shopping mom is the moment she parks her car till the moment she gets back loading the groceries into it. And what moment, who could capitalize on that moment? Well, competitive grocery stores could capitalize on that moment. CPG brands on the shelves, Procter & Gamble, your Tyson Foods, right, Ben? Anyone who you want to direct towards an aisle, you can because you're speaking to them at the location level. And the relevant moment is, I'm here. So another opportunity might be to say, in this relevant mobile moment, I'm gonna serve an ad that says a clothing store, whether you like it or not, is 0.5 miles away. Because we go to shopping plazas and we're loyal to this corner anchor store over here, we go there 4 times, 5 times a month, we could have no idea what's on the other side. So being able to understand from a location perspective, again, tying it all back to location, being able to get somebody to continue their purchase path, as opposed to going home, putting the groceries away, and then going back out, much easier to get them to stay out than go home and go back out again. So the relevant mobile moments is when we can do that exact influencing factor to get them to do something next. The localized message really has everything to do with where the person is. So when we serve up a banner ad, it'll come with distance away from the closest location. So if I'm 1 mile away from this McDonald's and 1.01 miles away from the other McDonald's, the McDonald's 1 mile away is the distance that will appear for me. That level of personalization, just simply knowing how far something is, helps to increase conversions in a way that we've seen performance increase 20 to 30% that way. Okay? And then from an insights perspective, when you target locations, it's important to know the activity happening in and around those locations. So whenever you set up a campaign, no matter how many locations you have, 10, 100, 1,000, each location comes with its own specific set of metrics for optimization purposes. All right? It's important that we understand at a location level how things are performing so we can shift and optimize. Oh my God, what is happening here? This is a crazy busy slide. So what this is showing, anyone know what this is, by the way? I mean, we're in Florida. This is going to be pretty easy. New York, yeah? Where, specifically? Not downtown, sorry. Times Square. I moved out of New York about 6 months ago. This is 7th Ave, that's 41st Street right there. And what we have here is we've got cameras affixed to the Marriott Marquis Hotel overlooking 7th Avenue. So the Marriott Marquis Hotel is literally right here, looking this way. And these cameras are essentially tracking visitation behavior to these 4 storefronts. The cameras are able to digitize human beings, even this guy with the bag at the very end, boom. We're able to digitize human beings in green, and then with the green individual colors track both who's in right now and how many people have been inside over the time that we're measuring. Is this pretty cool or what? Yeah? Well, guess what? It's not nearly as cool as this. Because with mobile, you do not need cameras. With mobile, you do not need to track people in real life, so to speak. You don't need to tape them going in and out of a location. This is our data visualization platform. Nobody ever sees this, but I'm showing it to you now because this is how our mobile platform thinks and sees things. These yellow dots, especially here in the Central Florida area, those yellow dots are representative of somebody using one of our 100,000 apps, entering into one of 25 million businesses that we have a geofence around. Whether we have a campaign or not, I mentioned earlier that we have fences around 25 million businesses so that we can understand visitation behavior. All right? So as these yellow dots are firing away and these brands are being visited, this is a loop, by the way. If it were real, I would probably crash the server. It just takes up so much space and bandwidth. But down here you can see there's a tremendous amount of activity. Most of the activity that we see is spread pretty evenly across the top 100 markets in the country. So Orlando definitely, especially with the transient population here from theme parks, attractions, everything else that's going on here, conventions, all that stuff, it's a very big mobile market, huge. All right? And the important thing to note here is that when somebody uses an app, and they download an app, first of all, iPhone users, raise your hand. Android, Neither of the above? No BlackBerry here, huh? Well, not bad. That's good. Usually I get one or two stragglers. When you download an app to your phone, generally speaking, questions are presented like, can I get your password? Can I send you the most annoying things in the world called push notifications? And then the third one, can I use your current location? Raise your hand if you say no to that question, no matter what, no matter when. Big brother ain't getting me. Okay, give yourselves a pat on the back. You guys are part of the 8% in the country. All right? 8% of people say no all the time. 92% of Americans say yes to sharing their location with the app, depending on the app. Right? The value prop or the value transfer is I will give you my location if you promise to give me relevant, helpful, succinct information based on where I am. So millennials, right? I think of two millennials. I'm a bookend millennial. I'm a Facebook millennial. I'm an older millennial. Younger millennials, the Snapchat millennials, look at me like I have a third eye when I say, are you on Facebook? Because their grandma's on Facebook. So the younger millennials, those who are 15 to 24 at this point, I would say, are saying yes, blanket yes, to every single app asking for every single thing that we could want. Why? Because they understand, I think they were born with it, they understand that when they give information away, they're going to get value back. So all of that permission is what makes this possible. 147 million people have said yes to sharing their location with any number of our 100,000 apps so that we can see this transparency. So how does it all work? First and foremost, the yellow dot is a location visit, precise location visit. Remember I told you we have fences set up around 25 million businesses? So we recognize when a device comes on in, and we can then serve them an ad once they're inside the geofence. We also, because of that permission that's been given, we also have a sense of where this device has been recently. So, and this is just 9 data points of probably 9,000, but if we saw that this device has been to the school twice, pharmacy, grocery twice, gym, play gym, store, school, farm, it's a pattern. We're getting a pattern. So the pattern, which is our first party data, dictates that this is, well specifically this, is the owner of this device. Do we absolutely know that this is a mom with a child? No, but we're 95% sure that it's either the mom, older sister, aunt, nanny, grandma, somebody taking care, some female, taking care of a young child. And then, as we've done with many of you, as we continue to do, if the objective is to reach this audience, whether it's across the Orlando DMA, whether it's across these 15 locations, whether it's across the state of Florida or across the country, we then say to ourselves, okay, all the devices that look like this and display the same type of ad behavior, we group that into a mom with children audience bucket, and then we can reach them at the DMA level or larger. All right, so this is called location-based audiences. Now, the important thing to know is that this is all predicated on two things: visitation behavior and ad behavior. All right, what ads have I clicked on? What ads have I not clicked on? Where and when did I or did I not click on them? All of those things are important, as well as the visitation, where I've actually been. All right, so when we put this into practice, we have a traditional geofence over here, and the only contextual factor is that the location is in the center. I'll slap a radius around it, and we'll spray and pray impressions into the circle, hoping that somebody will click on it. Right? This has been around for about 9-10 years at this point. If you think that if you know you're doing geofencing already, let's make sure you're asking questions about what type of technology that's being used for your geofences and whether there's any optimization or not. Because in this typical geofence, there is no optimization. Shift over to our brand of precise geofence, and what we've got are little hot pockets of activity, as you can see. What's happening here is that in real time, no humans involved, in real time, these little hot pockets are siphoning themselves out and creating themselves where mobile activity is happening, where people are clicking on banner ads, where people are getting to our landing page and doing other things like click to call, click to site, click for directions. When we see an activity or group of activity happening, the idea is that we're going to form these smaller fences around the locations within the fence that are garnering the most activity. What's the result? Well, first, the result is that you eliminate between 20 and 30% of your ad waste. That's right off the bat. Second result is that your performance increases, right? From a click-through rate as well as from a secondary action rate, which you have no idea what that is. I haven't told you about it yet. But from a click-through rate perspective, mobile benchmark for click-through is 0.5%. When we employ this technology with the ability to understand device profiles, etc., we see anywhere between 0.6 and 0.7. So, good 10, 12, 15% improvement there. All right? So, before I move on, there are really 3 use cases for this product. Number 1 is called loyalty fencing. This is where we fence around yours or your clients' locations to drive brand loyalty, make sure they keep coming back. Or, like I said earlier, if I'm loyal to Publix over here, I might have no idea what's over here. So let's at least do some awareness in the vicinity. The second use case is called conquesting. Same technology around our client competitive locations. All trying to capitalize on right time, wrong place. I'm in that consumer mindset. I'm having a relevant mobile moment or a micro moment, but I'm just not at your location. I'm at a competitor's location. So let's send advertising into those locations, ideally with some sort of incentive to get me to get up and move. Auto dealerships, everyone's looking at their newspapers in the waiting room, right? No. 4 minutes a day. So what we're looking at are people nose deep in their phones or their tablets while they're waiting in an auto dealership. That's a prime time for a competitive dealer to be able to poach those customers with a better offer. They'll travel up to 30 miles to get it, research dictates, and get them out. That's a good use case. Another one would be if I'm sitting at a restaurant, I'm in between appetizer and entree, it's taking a long time. What am I doing when it's taking a long time? When there's downtime, when there's dead air, what am I doing? Anyone want to help me out?
On your phone?
Yeah, but what am I doing specifically on that phone? I'm going to start with social media. I'm going to check in, I'm going to check the news. But then for the duration of my waiting period, I'm playing a game. So the process is I check in on social media, scroll through, check the news headlines or the sports headlines. That takes about 2 minutes. And then for the duration of my dead air, gaming. All right? So while I'm playing that game, restaurant B shows up with an advertisement. They got a $2 cheaper surf and turf dinner. Oh, that sounds awesome. Well, I've only just finished my appetizer, so I can get this cheaper meal, drop my fork, push my chair out, pretend like I'm going to the bathroom, but then 90-degree angle to the exit, to restaurant B, to have the cheaper surf and turf. Not realistic. Okay, I'm not going to bounce on the check, I promise. I'm a better person than that. Thank you specifically for thinking I would do that. Okay? The more realistic case, though, is that the next time I'm going to go out for dinner, at least I have this other restaurant as part of my consideration set. They all of a sudden become part of the consideration set. All right, so that's conquesting. And then the final one, I'm going to wrap up here pretty quickly. The final one is called point of interest targeting, and that's where we infer your audience based on the locations we target. I want to reach a very wealthy, high household income, affluent audience. Well, we could go the zip code route and reach the zip codes where people have household incomes over 150, 200K, whatever we want to do. But again, we're reaching people where they live, and especially here in Florida, a lot of zip codes have that sort of index. So what the suggestion would be is to use location targeting to fence around luxury automobile dealerships, high-end restaurants, jewelry shops, high-end retail, anywhere where our target affluent audience would go. Okay? Ben spoke to you earlier about remarketing. From either site remarketing, I've been to a site, I get remarketed, or search remarketing, I search for something, I get remarketed. We don't offer either of those, but we do offer something called location retargeting. So if I'm at Whole Foods on Sunday at 3, and I'm with my device, I don't need to click on any ads, I just need to be served an ad. All of a sudden, home, a few days later at 7, I could be served a Whole Foods ad just because I was there. So this is a great way to build even more loyalty. This is a great way to reach customers who maybe there wasn't a sale going on, but now there is, so let's retarget folks. And this is also a great way just to reinforce, remind, and re-engage. All right, I'm going to skip this one and talk to you because the same exact photo is here. Again, the biggest I've ever seen. So, when we think about analytics and performance, right, we are served the banner ad in-app. Okay, so the banner ad will appear at the bottom of your app. Whether it's AccuWeather, whether it's Epicurious, whether it's MapMyFitness, whether it's ESPN, whatever the case may be, it'll appear usually at the bottom. And once you click on that banner ad, you then get to, I was going to hope to find a banner ad example, but I don't have one. Then you get to our landing page. And this is where, just as Ben was talking about ad extensions, this is where you can really put money on the fact that folks who are conducting actions here, not only are they meant to do it, I got 2 fat thumbs right here, real big ones. And when I try and click the X on the top right, sometimes I click the banner. There's about a 15% misclick factor in mobile. We have recognized that fully. So if that's something you wanted to talk about, we already recognize it. You don't have to talk about that. 15% misclick. But when we get to this landing page, if I didn't mean to be there, I would leave immediately. But if I do have an interest, in this case in a taco, if I did have an interest and I did get to this page and either click for directions that tells a real story, I'm hungry now, I want food now, click to call, where are you, what are you open till, and then also maybe here for some sort of coupon or special offer or something like that, see the menu, something like that. So all of these are called secondary actions. And this is something that when you normally run digital marketing with anyone, you're going to get three columns of reporting. Impressions ordered, impressions delivered, clicks delivered. But now all of a sudden you've got a whole other column, and you can break it out into 3 specific columns as to what your secondary actions might be per location. It tells a much better in the wild, real world story than just click through. Because that is just, what does it represent? A click through to a site. Here we can tell a different story. All right? So this is my last slide. From a KPI perspective or a key performance indicator perspective, metrics, results, from a results perspective, when we talk about ensuring brand awareness, that just simply means delivery of ads, right? Similar to the work that most of you do in television, the point of television ads, for the most part, unless it's 3 o'clock in the morning, is really about awareness, getting the message out. Maybe there's a call number there or something, but really about getting it out there. Then when we want to increase consideration, especially in mobile, we're really talking about a click-through. Whether that's a click-through to the client's webpage, whether it's a click-through to our landing page, that's about increased consideration. But this is where we really like to live. Deep engagement and on-premise activity, which is secondary action rate, these. Tells much more of a story, and it tells more of a consumer conversion story than just an interest story. All of this said, everything Ben spoke to you about, everything I spoke to you about, are really good in addition to the owned and operated assets here, all good complementary. Not one should be focused on. This actually brings me to a great point. We've only spoken about like 2 or 3 things here today. And there's a lot more to talk about. So I don't, you want to come back up and talk more?
Sure.
Yeah. Come on back.
Sure. I mean, yeah, the KPIs in regards to what we're talking about, but yeah, there's only 2 or 3 things that we've really spoken about in regards to how to market your business. I did mention how do you manage all this effectively at scale without putting your head through a wall. It's kind of challenging. I'm trying to think of like a good answer in regards to what he's talking about.
Think about it in the meantime. We're going to bring Sarah and Dan up to talk about a couple other things, and we'll think about this.
Okay, all right, good. You made an answer. Cool.
Here you go, Sarah.